Okay, so this video started as a different idea. What I wanted to do was talk about the inefficient things that people do in Pokemon, but they prefer to do it because it's more fun. Like, I'm sorry guys, but Super Training was just one of the worst ways of EV training back in Pokemon X and Y and Omega Moon Alpha Sapphire. Like, SOS battling or Horde battling is just going to be faster, but people just preferred to do it. And then I was trying to go through some other things on the list, and my first thought was, well, the Festival Plaza is just a complete waste, right? So after a little bit of talking in my fan Discord, it's actually not quite that way. There's a lot of dedicated battle agency players on my fan Discord, and what they've told me is that it's actually probably the most efficient way of leveling and EV training competitive Pokemon, which kind of blows my mind because I've always rammed against the battle agency, or not the battle agency, just the Festival Plaza. And that was mostly a Pokemon Sun and Moon thing because it's so inefficient to get points, then have to grind up for a kitchen, use that kitchen only once a day. It just didn't feel right to actually get enough. However, the battle agency gives a ton of points and can be fairly exploited when you kind of break down how it goes. Now, it depends on how you play it, but under the perfect circumstances, like best case scenario, I could really only see the battle agency being a good thing, so good that I hope it returns in the Pokemon Switch game. Now I feel there could be a lot of mixed emotions about that, like if you just didn't use it or anything, but in a world without hacking, in a world where the proper gameplay of Pokemon and a huge community of people come together, it's actually one of the best ways of having a competitive community and one of the quickest ways of training Pokemon, because when you think about it, you can slam through battles fairly quickly. That even with the same level, roughly. You know, I just went through that Goodra pretty well. The Infiltrator does help out, and depending on the Pokemon you get, you could get a pretty bad series of Pokemon for the day, or you can get some really overpowered and even legendary Pokemon that have proper movesets, depending on how high up you are in the battle agency. So you will see this optimization shift around, but as you can see, I'm kind of doing these battles pretty quickly. And if you say have a level 100 friend, you know, if you have a friend that maxed out and you're starting at level 50, you're going to be able to one-shot almost everything up until like the level 80s and stuff. So it does get pretty crazy, and it does get pretty quick to the point where you can do a round in under 5 minutes. That's kind of where the math is going to be based for this video. What happens if we do a round in under 5 minutes? And even if we're not doing it under 5 minutes, it takes 10 minutes max with a relatively even leveled team. Maybe you have one friend that's slightly above, one friend that's slightly below, but it's not the worst thing ever, and that's what I mean by the exploit. That if you get someone that's over leveling on the battle agency, it can help you get an insane amount of festival coins in a pretty short amount of time. And I think we're actually just going to be better off with the Gigalith in this situation. So I want to just kind of do a quick little run, just show you, like, look at how fast it is to win a battle, and then we can kind of break down the effective amounts of festival coins that we get from it. Now, unfortunately, because the battle agency is dead, I did end up with some default players that are level 50, but we were able to do it anyways. But let's talk about the actual numbers and math behind it, because the crazy thing about the battle agency is the insane amount of festival coins that you are rewarded with. And if you're just super dedicated, like getting to level 50, making it to the end of the battle agency is going to give you like 100,000 points or something. That's what I've been told. Like I was going to the fan Discord and people were talking about how they just have 200,000 festival coins, that by just leveling it, by playing it naturally, they have more than they ever need, that they don't need to go back and do a couple rounds or something if they need to go and top off a Pokemon's EVs or give them a couple levels to make them competitive. That just doesn't need to happen. So that's kind of one of the crazy things, that you can grind and get a substantial amount of points, and that's kind of all there is to it. Because look at this, if you want to get from level 30 to level 40, you have to do an insane amount of work. You have to do 12 battles just to get the one level. So that means we're already dealing with over 100 battles right here, and then we're averaging, you know, 250-ish per battle in festival coins. And those battles, again, if you have like a level 100 friend or two level 100 friends that's just carrying you, those battles are going to take about a minute each, and then it's going to be about 5 minutes for the entire round, because you get your coins, you level up, you talk to Sophocles, you have to reset, well, not reset your team, but you have to kind of rebuild and get back into it. So taking all that in consideration, we are getting very high amounts of festival coins, even at low levels. You know, you make it to level 20, we're getting 500 festival coins in 5 minutes, which when you start comparing it to what the Festival Plaza actually offers, can't really beat it. And that doesn't even include the rare candies that you get just for participating in the battle agency, so it's some pretty good stuff. That you get one rare candy each time you successfully complete a challenge at grade 50. Now the thing is, it does start to slow down, that if you get like a really high level friend and then you just make it to level 50, it's going to cap out. So that means it's level 100s versus level 100s, so same level, effectively like the Battle Tree, Battle Maison, or any other battle facility that we are familiar with, but at the same time, 900 235 festival coins for completing it, and that's easy. Like, to do 3 battles under that, that's gonna be less than 10 minutes. So you're looking at a free rare candy for that, as well as almost 1,000 festival coins, and those rare candies, they can be fairly useful. That we can do is use them to help, like, kind of optimize a rare kitchen or something. And if you have a level 30 Pokemon, you give them 3 rare candies, then you can boost them up to level 50 like that, or you can top off a high level Pokemon to get it ready for hyper training, and a gold bottle cap from the receptionist each time after defeating a boss. Pretty strong. So yeah, if you want to do that, you can. I'm not really talking about level 100 Pokemon for this video. I'm just talking about you get it to 50, you max out its EVs, and then it's ready for competitive. So with a little bit of like breeding from a friend, you can still get some very high optimization. And that brings us to the good stuff, because I feel with the battle agency that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon has made the Festival Plaza actually worth it and useful, because what it used to be is just all these silly little competitions that you did with friends, and it wasn't really that fun. Now look at this. The max amount of points that you could get for the most common one, which was type matchup test, is 60. Well, you do that every 3 minutes, and then you get about 180 festival coins per 10 minutes, and that is if everyone is playing perfectly. Rarely do enough people actually come in to where you can get a high enough score to consistently max out the points, and even then, some people join in late, you might join into someone else's late, and you just won't have the opportunity of getting a high enough individual score. So because of that, the festival coins were just nowhere near worth it at all. But now, I feel like there's actually a competitive Pokemon training economy, and it can be very effective like that. Like, I just mentioned breeding, but when you think about it, breeders, they're going to have a lot of spares, either for trading to get other Pokemon and other breed change and stuff like that, or maybe they're going for like a shiny Pokemon. Just naturally, there's going to be multiple correct competitive IV Pokemon, you know, 5, 6 IVs. You don't even need 6 IVs in like 99% of cases. So say they have 2 5 IV Charmanders. Well, you can ask them for 1 5 IV Charmander, and in exchange, you're going to go and EV train their other Charmander. That way they can use it competitively, and that's how you can do it through these bouncy houses. So what bouncy houses do is they have the potential of maxing out a Pokemon's EV, but it's only for 1 EV at a time, and you can only do it once per day per course. So that's going to be fairly inefficient when you look at it like this, like 200 festival coins. Well, back in Pokemon Sun and Moon, that took 15 to 20 minutes of just grinding type matchup tests, which is more repetitive than fun. And also, when you're doing an SOS method, it's going to take less time for an individual Pokemon, and you could potentially EV train multiple Pokemon at a time with this, so it really didn't feel worth it, on top of the thousands of festival coins to get 1 of each, potentially multiples, depending on how crazy you want to go for EV training. But if you have a friend and you're just like, hey look, I'm going to go maximize your EVs, give me that Pokemon, then you're actually going to be good to go right there. And the same happens for the rare kitchens, that it used to be just an insane amount of festival coins. It took a while to get 100 festival coins, let alone 400 festival coins for just 13 levels. The only way that this would actually be worth it is if you're trying to get a Pokemon high enough to do hyper training with. So the math broke down to over 20 minutes of work just to get a single Pokemon from level 41 to 50 per day, on top of the cost of the rare kitchen. It just didn't really feel that worth it. Now you can combo with the rare dinner and stuff, but now it feels a lot better. You can take a Pokemon from level 33, get it to level 50, and getting a Pokemon level 33 is super quick. So it does start to kind of go up a little more exponentially from there, and it feels a bit more worth it, because if we go back to the table, again, worst case scenario, like say you have one of your friends, they're super high level, and even if you're dealing around this, you know, we're getting 400 festival coins, over 400 festival coins in less than 5 minutes at that rate. And also, let's just say that you're going for the proper grind, maybe not necessarily level 50, but you're going to have such an insane excess of points. Now look at this, 3 to get from level 25 to 26 at 575 each. So that means you can actually afford, in just 1 grade, you could afford a rare kitchen, not to mention all of the level ups that you're getting for your festival, which means you could stumble into a rare kitchen level 5 for free, throw it in there, even get some multiples, and it's still going to be fairly doable with the amount of points that you have. And now that's where the actual global missions start to come into play. So really, the only time I feel in Pokemon Sun and Moon that utilizing these things was possible was just by using the global missions. But even then, the global missions failed fairly, well, at least they failed in the beginning, and then they made them super easy to where it was almost always a success. Like, look at this, even the goal for one of the missions near the end was only 1,000 lottery wins, and we ended up getting 30 times more than that near the end of Pokemon Sun and Moon, when really no one cared about the Festival Plaza at that point, and it was still kind of showing it. But at the same time, we only got 200 on a failure and 2,000 on a success. Now it's 2,000 on a failure and 4,000 on a success, just showing how much easier it is to get the festival coins to where it's actually worth utilizing the Festival Plaza. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, if you just kind of tagged along for some of the successes, then maybe it's worth spending extra points to actually help buff up a Pokemon or maybe roll a couple of extra EVs or something. It helped, but it's mostly just taking 5 minutes a month to kind of sign up for the global mission, and that was it. But now it's actually worth actively applying in the battle agency and then getting the points that way. I feel that this is actually a really successful implementation of a facility. That you could either go to the battle tree, grind that forever, or you could also go to the battle agency. Each one has its own rewards. At the battle tree, it rewards you with items and megastones that you can use, but also maybe you could do that, like, hey, I'll fully train 2 of your Pokemon for a megastone, or I'll fully EV train 1 of your Pokemon and get it competitive ready at level 50 if you give me a Focus Sash and a Choice Scarf. That this is where the economy comes into play. That by actually just only doing the battle agency, that if you end up with tens of thousands of festival coins, over 100,000 festival coins, and multiple of each thing, like say you have 4 rare kitchens and then 1 of each of the bouncy houses, you're pretty much set up. That while you can't do an insane amount of stuff, it actually does help balance the load, and it is a different change from the grinding. That, okay, you can just grind chances all day and then get your Pokemon up high level, or you can do SOS EV training, but if you want to take a break in the battle agency, and then you can actually end up with extra resources that are actually useful when it comes to getting competitive Pokemon, while also helping out other people, and then keeping that economy going. So this is what the surprising thing was, that when I started off the video, I just want to say, I just kept my mentality from Pokemon Sun and Moon. Festival Plaza was useless, but now it's not anymore. And that's actually a pretty cool thing to think about. And this is what Game Freak needs to do for Pokemon Switch. Like, I'd love to see the Festival Plaza come back, as long as it's not as clunky. Like, there needs to be better rewards, that there are still ways that you can fail with the Festival Plaza, because, like, look at this. Okay, Sacred Ash, Bottle Cap, PP. Well, the PP up's good, but making all this stuff RNG, that's not really that good. The berries, you know, the EV berries are fairly as effective as this, and you don't really need to be wasting those festival coins on something daily. And then we get into slots. That's actually not worth having, you know, these extra stalls. It's not worth having these extra facilities that aren't going to be as beneficial, because you're better off having 5 rare kitchens or these extra rare kitchens to get higher level Pokemon leveled up just like that. Getting balls. You know, these shops are effectively worthless as well. Like, it's cool that they're calling back to some of the older items, like a Shallower Sable or Castelia Cone and an old Gateau, but it's still not really that worth it. You know, you just don't get really too many good items and stuff like that. So, still needs a bit of a rework, but at the very least, I'd love to see the Battle Agency come back. If we do get something like the Battle Frontier, maybe having different forms of currency to help with different things, and then making them as balanced and effective as a Battle Agency does work out. So, this is actually something efficient that is well worth your time, and that was an interesting discovery I made recently. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.